All right, here we go. Another morning live stream here at the Gridiron Expert. Good morning, everybody. Today is a very special day because it is the official start of week one. How about that? How about that? Tonight, guys, that's when everything really gets going. It's the moment we've been waiting for. We were all pumped for week 0 last Saturday. No doubt about it. We were all pumped about it. I'm more pumped for tonight and tomorrow night. And to wake up at 8 o'clock on Saturday and watch football for over 12 hours straight. This is what we've been waiting for. So we are so pumped that you guys could join us today, guys. Again, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Flying blind, he says, woo pig suey. Arkansas and Cincinnati just posted a video about that yesterday. Big marquee matchup on Saturday. CCD, perfect timing. He just woke up. Glad we could catch you this morning. Again, we are doing live streams on Monday and Thursday at 8 a.m., Tuesday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. That'll start next week as well. So CCD, glad you could join us today. Scotty B, missed him last night. I know the Discord, you mentioned that was giving you issues with the live stream last night, so I'm sorry we missed you. Glad you could join us today. Congratulations on being a part of that Baylor video. I tell you, man, they find you. They are able to hunt you down and get you involved with all those Baylor, whether it's game day things or hype videos on the Jumbotron. Because why? Because Scotty is like the biggest Baylor fan in the world, and it's awesome. So congratulations for that. Hoping you that it gets used for you, and that you get to be a part of that. And yes, everybody, you correctly predicted or correctly answered the trivia question. A little bit easier today, but I had to do it with it being the backyard brawl tonight. West Virginia guys lost to Pittsburgh by 4 points, but missed 2 field goals, both I believe within 35 yards. And it was Pat McAfee, the great Pat McAfee, the legend with the Colts. Obviously, now a great broadcaster, has his own show, is phenomenal, but missed those 2 kicks. And had West Virginia won that game, they would have been playing in the BCS National Championship game, probably against, God, who would they have played? Would it have been Ohio State? Because that 2007 year was just wild. If you remember, in 2007 year, LSU, at the end of the year, last game of the year, was the number 1 team in the country. But they had already lost a game, I believe it was to Kentucky, back in October. Well, in November, LSU in Death Valley played a 7-4 Arkansas team. Darren McFadden led that team. And Arkansas won 50-48 in 3 overtimes. And so everybody thought, wow, LSU's done. I remember, I believe it was Vern Lundquist, a great broadcaster. When Arkansas intercepted that 2-point conversion, he goes, the dream dies for LSU, because there was no way that a LSU team with 2 losses now, especially one to an unranked Arkansas team in the season finale, as we always say, it's better to lose early than late. No way LSU was going to make the national championship. Well, all the chaos ensued afterwards. Everybody that needed to lose lost. West Virginia was up there, they lost. I believe Kansas and Missouri played, and Kansas was in the running, and Kansas lost to Missouri. All these teams ahead of LSU after the new rankings were put out lost, and so LSU, despite having 2 losses, worked their way back up there, ended up playing in the national championship that year and winning it. So talk about a wild college football season. But again, that was in 2007. So how interesting would it have been to see a national championship between Ohio State and West Virginia, or LSU and West Virginia, or God, could you imagine if it had been and it wouldn't have worked? Well, it would have worked actually. West Virginia and Kansas, obviously, because back then they weren't in the Big 12 yet. West Virginia is still part of the Big East. So wild days of college football, guys. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But I wanted to throw that out there. Still love Pat McAfee. I know he took that really hard, but 15 years ago, I'm sure most West Virginia fans have forgiven him, right, Logan? Right? Surely, right? But yeah, let's go. It's game day. We are super pumped, and that's what we're here to talk about today, guys. Yesterday we talked about a bunch of upsets. Today, what we're probably going to do, and I don't have the whole schedule pulled up in front of me. I have to use my phone. I'm probably just going to go through some of the games that we have on deck tonight, touch briefly on them. Obviously, we know we have the backyard brawl. Yes, we know we've got Pittsburgh, Purdue, and Penn State. A couple others that we do want to kind of shed some light on here a little bit, so we'll touch on that. But I want to make sure we get to the comments. And today, again, we're kind of letting you dictate. We don't always do that, but we do enjoy getting to see you guys run the table and get to ask all your questions and share all your thoughts and comments, letting us address those. That's one of our favorite parts. Before we really get started and before we jump back over, again, just want to highlight a lot of things that we talked about last night. Obviously, we have a goal, guys, of these expert picks over here. If we can reach 100 expert pick sale by season's end, so by the end of college football, then we have something very, very big in store for you. And I don't want to give that away quite yet. Maybe when we get halfway there, maybe we'll tell you. But if we get 100 of those, we have some very, very big and exciting things for you here on the channel that you're not going to want to miss. So whether you were able to purchase them yourself, whether you just want to support, tell a friend, tell a family member, whatever it is, send a Venmo, send a Cashapp, whatever. It helps support our channel a lot. Obviously, it would benefit you a lot. And again, it's worth it to help us reach our goal. And in addition to that, reaching goals, we have a goal of 10,000 subscribers by next Saturday. So we got week 2. So week 1 starts today. By the official start of week 2, which is next Saturday, we are hoping to have 10,000 subscribers. And I wholeheartedly believe we can get that because we are less than I think we're like 123 subscribers away from that mark. So we can do that, guys. Again, word of mouth, sharing the videos, whether it's on Twitter or on Instagram, just telling somebody, shooting an email, whatever you got to do, get more people into this GE Nation. We added a lot last night. Great people that bought the expert picks, that subscribed to us, that became a part of our GE Nation. But again, the goal is 10,000 by next Saturday. The goal is 100 expert pick sales, and I believe we can get that through the help of you guys. So again, thank you all for your support. But let's get it. Let's get these goals going so we can get some fun stuff happening here at the channel and that we can have a big celebration sometime next week for reaching that 10K mark. All right. Going through the chat here. Scotty, where do I put the Baylor defensive line when compared to Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson? Fantastic question. The Baylor defensive line is loaded. Let me tell you what, absolutely loaded. I still think Clemson's is better. I would stand by Clemson probably having the best defensive line, maybe the best defense in the country going into 2022. I know they lost Venables, but I think they're going to be fine. So I'd probably put Clemson up there, and then I actually might put Baylor after Clemson, honestly, Scotty. I might go Clemson, Baylor, Georgia, Bama. All those defenses, especially up front, are so dominant, so they're so hard to rank. And Clemson, to me, is the undisputed number 1. Then the other 3 you can kind of bounce around, but I think I actually might put Baylor second. That's how good they are. In the trenches, Baylor's going to be very good. I'm just more worried about the secondary for Baylor, and then obviously the skill positions on offense. How is Blake Shapen? Who's he going to throw to? How are the running backs going to fare? I don't think they're going to have much issue in week 1, but week 2 when they travel to Provo, I'm a little concerned. All right, CCD. Purdue beats Penn State. Okay, Pitt beats West Virginia. Boom. And Tennessee and Missouri roll. I think arguably could be the biggest games of the day. And obviously Tennessee a 35-point favorite, and Missouri now up to a 20.5-point favorite over Louisiana Tech. So I'm thinking both of them roll in that game. Let's see. Harry, good to see you. I appreciate you. Week 1 is officially here. Heck yeah. And we are pumped that you're here with us. And I appreciate the support. Glad you love the show. Glad you could be with us. Always love talking ball with you, Harry. So appreciate you and all the support. CCD. If we're looking for an FCS upset, it could happen tonight with Bryant at FIU. Yeah, it could. It could. And I need to probably go do a deeper dive of, all the FCS games that are taking place today, who they're playing in week 1 and looking at who could be it. If you want to call that an upset, sure. The problem is Florida International, guys, is so bad. They haven't defeated an FBS program since 2019. And crazily enough, that last FBS win came against Miami, of all teams. Miami. Yes, I could see Bryant winning that game solely because FIU dealing with a new coach and Mike McIntyre. Questions on both sides of the ball. Horrendous last year. We have them at 3-9 because they have a pretty favorable schedule against some other FBS teams that, they play UMass and maybe New Mexico State, some cupcake teams in there. But, Bryant easily could beat them. And we'll talk about some more of those here in a second because we're going to kind of touch on every game that we're going to be watching this Thursday night. Steven, I appreciate you, man. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that super chat. Again, Again, guys, every single dollar counts with the super chat. Last night was phenomenal with the super chat. We're hoping to keep it up on all these live streams. So, Steven, thank you very much. I appreciate you and all your support. Go Cyclones, obviously. Very excited for that. What games are you looking forward to this week since there are games going from today until Monday? Yeah. I'll tell you what, Steven, what I can do for you, I can just tell you the games I'm looking forward to each of those 5 days, right? Obviously, Sunday and Monday, only one game apiece. So, obviously, LSU, Florida State on Sunday, Clemson and Georgia Tech on Monday. So, those are the only ones I'm looking forward to, obviously. Tonight, definitely looking forward to the backyard brawl the most, Pittsburgh and West Virginia. I think out of all the games, you look at the schedule, I'm Central Time. You're looking at 6 o'clock Central Time here, Oklahoma State, the 12th ranked team in the country, they're in action. The backyard brawl's in action. Tennessee and that offense, they're in action. All those start at 6. And at 7, you have Penn State, Purdue. So really, the two biggest games are Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and then Penn State, Purdue. But I think most of the country, if you're watching college football, you're going to be watching Pittsburgh and West Virginia because that is the big game. First time in 11 years they've met. Big time rivalry game. They've been smack talking all week long. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Steven, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to that one on Thursday. On Friday, I'm most looking forward to probably Illinois, Indiana, or TCU, Colorado. Kind of some obscure matchups, but looking forward to those there. Obviously, TCU with their new coach. How are they going to fare? And I like the late night games, too. I like those 9 o'clock games where the day is starting to really die down. You can kind of just, really kick back and just be like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I can sit here and feel good about myself not watching football from 9 o'clock to midnight, So definitely look forward to that. Illinois, Indiana, just interesting to me because Indiana's favored. And they didn't play last week, but Illinois did and looked good. Granted, it was against Wyoming, but Illinois looked pretty good. So I'm curious to see how does Indiana bounce back from last year, especially with all the new transfers, 2-10 season in 2021. Do they bounce back and beat a solid Illinois team, or do they struggle majorly again? So looking forward to that on Friday, and then, God, Saturday. I mean, where to begin? I mean, obviously the 3 ranked versus ranked matchups I'm very, very pumped about. Arkansas, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia. Those are the big 3, I think. Love the Utah-Florida game. That's going to be one of the night games I have to watch. To me, it's must-see TV on Saturday night, so I'm very pumped for that. Scrolling through, though, a couple underrated matchups. I mean, Houston, Texas, San Antonio. That's going to be solid. Curious to see how Lincoln Riley fares in his first game. He ends up playing Rice. They should win, but how do they look with all those key new pieces? Scrolling through here, Georgia State, South Carolina, that could be a potential upset. Closing the night with Boise State, Oregon. So a lot of games I just threw at you, but I would say to break it down in simpler terms, backyard brawl tonight, probably TCU, Colorado Friday night, the 3 ranked versus ranked matchups, plus Utah, Florida. Those are my top 4 games on Saturday, and then the individual ones on Sunday, Monday. Very, very pumped for all those. So yeah, regardless, pretty much moral story, we've got a heck of a weekend coming up. We've got a heck of a college football weekend coming up, so definitely don't want to miss any of those games. And Steven, I appreciate you again. Thank you again for the super chat again, guys. That super chat is always on. Every dollar counts and goes a long, long way in helping out our channel. So thank you so much again, and thank you for all your support. All right, I want to see what else we have here. Graham, I saw Graham pop in, didn't he? Yeah, hey, what's up going on, Graham? Nice to have you, man. Good to see you this morning. The over-under on Clemson Tech is 48.5. Am I crazy, or does that sound super high? I would say it does, actually. Let's think about this for a second. And I'm not here to tell you to bet the over or the under, Graham. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but I'm just gonna use some logic based on what happened last year, right? Last year, 22 combined points between the two teams, right? 14-8. And yes, I know the weather played a bit of a factor. It was only the 3rd game of the year for both teams. There were a lot of factors I think went into that very low-scoring game. But we just talked about Clemson and their defense and how great they're going to be. We know that Georgia Tech offense is going to be pretty bad because they've been bad for the last few years. So how many points feasibly do we think Georgia Tech is going to score? Do we think they can score over 10? Probably not. So really, most of the points in that over-under are going to be scored by Clemson. You would think. And then you look at Clemson and you go, can they score that many points? I mean, they weren't that great on offense last year. DJ Uyunglele, can he fix it? Are we going to see Kay Klubnik? Are we going to see like another, 73-7 game like a couple of years ago where they murdered Georgia Tech? Is the offense going to become that much better in a span of a year? Probably not. Probably not. But Clemson's going to win that game. I'd be floored if Georgia Tech kept it close like they did last year. But 48.5 points. I mean, even a 38-10 victory for Clemson, that's only 48. And so you're still losing by half a point if you were to take the over. So, yeah, glad you agree. I mean, that does sound very high. Because, I mean, yes, you have to factor in what happened last year to an extent. Can't base your logic solely off of that. But, again, looking at the numbers, Clemson's defense is so good. Georgia Tech's hardly going to put up that many points. Georgia Tech's defense isn't great. But do we really think Clemson's just going to light it up offensively? In week one, probably not. I mean, keep in mind, two new coordinators, both on offense and on defense. Obviously, quarterback questions. DJ has obviously heard all the criticism and all the talk and knows the pressure's on. And I also couldn't see Clemson, bringing out all the tricks and being too crazy flashy in week one. I could see them kind of holding some things back. So definitely does seem pretty high, all things considered. Very interesting. Great question, though. I actually hadn't studied that over-under yet, so that was actually news to me, but very shocking. All right. FIU's only favored by 8 today over Bryant. I love that. That's actually more than I thought they'd be favored by, so that counts for something. Live Traffic TV. Penn State killed Purdue in recruiting the last 4 years. Give me the Lions. I mean, take that to an extent. Here, I'll touch on that for a second. Here's my thing with recruiting. It's important, obviously. You don't have players if you don't recruit, both out of high school and the transfer portal. But I know we're probably basing this mostly off of high school, right? How many 4 stars are you bringing in? How many 5 stars are you bringing in? Where's your recruiting class rank? Here's the thing. That's great, but I think people sometimes put a little too much stock into recruiting rankings and to recruit like the ratings for certain players. Oh, he's a 5-star. 247 has him at a 97.8 or whatever. He one of the highest recruits. Okay, great, good for you, right? At the bottom line is, you still have to be coached, and the bottom line is transitioning from high school to college is still a big difference. Not saying these recruits can't be good, but I really don't like it when people use that as the biggest logic of, well, we've beaten you in recruiting rankings the last 7 years, so we're going to kill you. Our recruit's just better than yours. Yeah, if you're talking like Alabama to Vanderbilt, yeah, sure, right? There's a difference there. But if you're talking about two teams that are relatively even, I mean, look at Texas A&M. These teams that are consistently recruiting extremely well, bringing in highly touted recruits because of their name brand and guys like that. And guess what they do? They fail. Right? So if you want to base it off the logic of, well, Texas, oh man, they got the number 2 recruiting class. They're going to be great this year. Or maybe not next year, but next year, because when those players have a year under the belt, they're going to be so good because they're the number 2 recruiting class in the country. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Because at the end of the day, you have to, I love the phrase, I will stick by this, there's something to be said for 5-star talent versus 5-star heart and 5-star effort. You have to have a coach that can coach and develop these players. That's why teams like Alabama and Ohio State and guys like that do so well, because they consistently bring in 5-star players and they have great coaches that develop those 5-star players. I'm not saying that Steve Sarkisian's a bad coach or James Franklin's a bad coach or whatever it is. I don't think they're nearly as good as some of the guys I just mentioned, but you have to have guys that can be developed and improve on those skills. You're 5 stars in high school, good for you. You're not 5 stars when you come to college. Not yet, right? So I don't like the excuse of recruiting rankings being the reason that people are going to do better, or that we just assume that someone's going to do better. I love what Scott just said. Texas lost to Kansas. Texas, yeah, you base it off the recruiting rankings. Texas, one of the best recruiters in the country, highest rankings in the country. Where's Kansas? Way at the bottom. Kansas won. Any given Saturday, guys. Any given Saturday. And with Penn State and Purdue, Purdue is not that far off from Penn State. We're not talking like it's, the Penn State of old and the Purdue of old, 4 or 5 years ago. Not talking about that. Purdue has recruited well. They have developed their players. Look at Aiden O'Connell. The last couple of years ago, we were quarterback battles. Jack Plummer, Aiden O'Connell, and he separated himself from the pack as now one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Led the 5th-ranked passing attack in the nation last year. You don't just get that from random QB coming out of high school. Got to be developed. Got to work. Got to have effort. The recruiting is it important? 100%. Do we put some stock into it? Yes, you do. If it's your team and you get a 5-star recruit or something like that, somehow you're going to be pumped, and rightfully so. And you hope that 5-star recruit is going to take off for you and be the difference maker. Maybe not in year 1, but down the road. And over time, as they're developed and as they build chemistry, they can be great. And you can go, man, 2019, we had a heck of a recruiting class. Look at what they're doing now. That number 1 recruiting class, they're now 2 or 3 years developed, and boom, we are killing it. But yeah, I think a lot of people put too much stock into that and just assume that getting 3 or 4 5-stars means you're going to be the next Alabama, and that's simply not how it works, because we see time and time again all these elite teams that get that type of talent and then fail every single year. So just my thought on that, guys. Recruiting, again, important. I'm not bashing it because it's very necessary. But the star ratings and the assumptions of just bringing in big-time players and meaning you're going to start winning, that's not how it works. All right, let's see what else we have here. Prediction on College Game Day. Where are they going in week 2? CCD says Baylor at BYU. Very possible. Very possible. I haven't looked too deep in the schedule. I know Alabama plays Texas, obviously, in week 2. Pull that up real quick and see if it worked for me. And so I could see them doing that because, as we mentioned, I think the AP poll might make Texas a ranked team just to make it, number 1 Alabama versus number 25 Texas. It looks better. Is it the right thing to do? No. Are they going to do it? Probably. And so that's just one of the bigger marquee matches of week 2. I could see them doing that. Could see them going to Pittsburgh. Well, probably not Pittsburgh considering they're going there now, but Tennessee and Pitt next Saturday, that's going to be a battle. Tennessee and Pittsburgh is going to be a lot of fun. Who else is on there? They said BYU. Obviously, they could go to Florida. If Florida upsets Utah this week, Florida hosts Kentucky. That'll be a top 25 matchup in Gainesville, so I could see them going to Florida if they beat Utah. If they don't beat Utah, they won't go. And then, the last chance would be Baylor BYU. So not many big marquee matchups there. Baylor BYU most likely, but a couple. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to Austin for the Texas game. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? Glad you could join us, my man. I'm glad you're here. Hey, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Fashionably late is what we like to say. I'm late sometimes too, to my own streams, right? So happy you could join us this morning, even if only for a little bit. Super pumped you could be here. Harry is out in North Carolina. He's very excited for ECU against NC State, UNC versus App State. Underrated noon games for sure. Both those are going to be a lot of fun. Harry, we actually yesterday talked about some potential upsets and talked about ECU and the possibility of them beating North Carolina State, hanging in there, potential upset there. And obviously App State easily could upset UNC 100%. So definitely going to be some fun games out in the Carolinas on Saturday morning. Hey, Clement, good to see you, my man. Glad you could join us. Good morning. Glad you're here. And wrapping up on that recruiting talk, just kind of going through there. Scotty, Washington is scheduled to meet with the Big Ten. We'll talk about that in a second. Matthew agreeing with that. He thinks Texas is overrated to high heaven. That's why he called Kansas State versus LSU a good win. The team was depleted, but I thought the big SEC had superior recruiting. Right, and that right? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how that worked? I think he can continue. LSU's third string had more 4-stars than Kansas State had recruited in 5 years. They should have either won or kept it close by that logic. So if this is how we're going to talk, then don't get out in a bowl game. Agree 100%. But here's the thing, Matthew. If you go to an LSU fan about that game, they'd say, we weren't motivated. We didn't want to be there. We were 6-6. The Texas Bowl, that's below us. Ed Ogeron wasn't even our coach, so we had lost coaches. We had lost players. We just didn't care. And so we, Okay? And that, again, goes back to my entire argument over 5-star talent versus 5-star heart, 5-star effort. I don't care what. If I'm a football player, if I'm a coach, to me, it doesn't matter what the game is and how well I've done. I'm trying to win. And I'm not saying LSU walked out there and just rolled over and said, we're going to give up. But that's the excuse you get from a lot of people. Who was it? Was it a couple of years ago when Texas beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl and all the Georgia fans go, we weren't motivated. We didn't want to be there. We wish we'd been the national championship or wish we'd been the playoff. And the Sugar Bowl, that's not good enough for us. So we didn't really care and want to put forth that much effort. Oh, come on, shut up. Like, seriously? But you hear that all the time now. You hear, if a better team loses, and I agree, a lot of it is motivation. And whose problem is that? It's the player's fault and the coach's fault for not getting them hyped and focused. It's, hey guys, we did fall short of our goals. That sucks. Wish we had been in the playoff. Wish we had won the conference. Whatever it was. But hey, we still have a game to play. We still should go out there and try to represent our program and represent them well. You seniors that are playing and not opting out because you're a bunch of wusses, why don't you guys go out there and try to play your last game and let's leave it all out on the field. Let's go out there and bring another trophy home, regardless of the bowl game. The Liberty Bowl versus the Sugar Bowl versus the playoff game. I don't care. Go out there and try. I always think about that too with fans too. I mean, man, how frustrated would you be if you paid a good amount of money to go watch your team in a bowl game, and a couple of the big time starters don't play for whatever reason, and you go out there and your team does terrible. I mean, no one wants to see their team get blown out, obviously, but terrible. It's visible. You're like, they are not trying. So I just dropped however much money on hotel or maybe flights or driving and food and this ticket to watch my team get blown out in a bowl game because they weren't motivated. I think it's disgraceful, personally. And I'm not going to go on my little tangent about players opting out of bowl games. I'm sure we'll save that for the postseason this year. But I think it is pretty wrong, and I love that logic, Matthew. 100%. Love that logic. Again, Kansas State, they did want to be there. They wanted to be an SEC team. They didn't care who it was. They were happy to be in that bowl game, an opportunity to clinch an 8-win season, and they did it in dominating fashion. It was a good win, 100%. Let's see. Last time Purdue did a blackout, they beat Ohio State. Let's keep that in mind. Great point by CCD. Last blackout game, Rondale Moore, upset them. It was like, my God, 2018. But now, week 1, all this hype surrounding Purdue. Penn State comes to town. Great quarterback at Aiden O'Connell. I like Purdue a lot. Purdue is the underdog in this game, and I think I'd be shocked if Purdue lost. Isn't that funny? We're looking at this game and it goes, well, Purdue, Penn State's favored, so if they win, it's to be expected. I'm going to be shocked if Purdue loses. That's, I think, how confident I am about that game, and everybody else is for that matter, because that's all the hype. You got to hope Purdue doesn't lay an egg, right? They're hearing what we're saying. They're hearing what the media's saying. They're hearing that they could win the Big Ten West. They're high after their first 9-win season since 2003, and this would be very Purdue-like, and really any team, to get all this hype building around them and in the first game, drop it. First game, lose. And all the hype and all the excitement just goes away. Season's done. Can Purdue still bounce back and win 8-9 games? Sure, but winning the West, don't bank on it. That's how important this Penn State game is. And I say that again because we did our predictions. We have a tie. 9-3, exact same record in conference play between Wisconsin and Purdue. We have Purdue beating Penn State. So if you lose to Penn State, keep in mind, Purdue has to travel to Wisconsin, which I think will be a loss. That's 2 losses already in conference play. You're not going to win the rest of them. 3 conference losses, you're not winning the West. 2, maybe. So that's why this Penn State game is so important for Purdue if they want to win the Big Ten West. The urgency is absolutely there. Let's see here. Big-time injuries on the BYU squad, so that would be huge if they missed out against Baylor. Scott, obviously you don't want anybody to get hurt, but look, if those 2 players missed out for that Baylor game in week 2, that would be a very big benefit to Baylor and their chances of pulling off that win in Provo. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Clement's taking Purdue, Alabama and Texas where they're going to go, possibly. Talking about some upset alerts. Hey, what's going on, Teen Raider? Good to see you. Happy you're here. Very excited you're here. Cash Money is back. What's going on, man? Happy you're with us tonight. I'm glad you were able to jump in at the tail end of the live stream last night. Glad you're able to catch us a little bit this morning. He says Georgia Tech upset Clemson 21-17. So for Graham, that would keep it at the under for you at 38 points. So again, if say it is a close game, probably still going to hit the under. 48.5 might be a little high. Cash money, I'm going to probably, when this stream's over, I'm going to come back. I'm going to take a picture of that because I want people to have proof if that happens. I don't even care if you get the score right. I want people to have proof that if Georgia Tech beats Clemson on Monday night, we can come up here. I will put it on the live stream on Tuesday morning or Tuesday after night. Tuesdays we're doing 7 o'clock now. I will put it up there and just praise you if they end up winning that game. I don't feel good about it for Georgia Tech. I know they played them close last year. I think a bunch of factors went into that. But hey, maybe Jeff Collins is going to surprise us. He knows his job's on the line, so beating Clemson would be a good way of trying to keep it. So I like it, though. I like it. LeBron James, will Kansas ever be good? Look, I've had that thought about a lot of different teams at different levels of sports, right? I was sitting there the other day just thinking to myself about all these teams, especially in the NFL, right? It's like, how is it possible that a team like the Jaguars or the Browns, really, until recently, how is it possible that they can, the Jets, consistently be so bad every single year? Like, you would think you'd get your break, right? That eventually you'd finally get your right coach. That eventually you'd finally get the right quarterback. And things would finally come together. Like you thought, look at the Jaguars. A few years ago, they had that amazing defense that got them to the AFC Championship game. They fell to Tom Brady and the Patriots, but got there. That was unreal. And people thought, okay, the Jaguars have turned a corner. Like, maybe now we'll be competitive. And they went right back to their losing ways the very next year. And it's like, how are you consistently that bad? I'm not saying you get to win a Super Bowl, and in college, I'm not saying you have to go to a bowl game and win a natty every year, but how are you that bad consistently? But into my head, I'm thinking eventually someone's luck's going to change, and eventually they will. Let's get my Kansas, as we mentioned earlier, in 2007, like one win away from going to the national championship game. Let's think about that. When LSU lost to Arkansas and West Virginia lost to Pittsburgh, Kansas, if they beat Missouri, they're in. They're going to the natty. And they couldn't do it. And people talk about that a lot, actually. They say, what would the trajectory of Kansas football be right now if they had gone to the national championship and won it? What would have changed? Would recruiting have changed for them? Would they've gotten newer facilities quicker? Would they still be on an upward trajectory? What would a national championship in football done for Kansas? Because after they failed to get there in 2007, I think they still won the Orange Bowl, but after they failed to do that, things fell apart. So you can't help but wonder. It's a big what if. And we're actually, in the off season, we're actually going to do some fun series of like what ifs. We're going to go back in time and be like, what if Kansas had won a national championship? What if the kick six hadn't happened? What if this? What if that? We're going to have different scenarios that we're going to bring up, and we'll take suggestions from you guys and do video series on that. But yes, they will get good again. I have faith in Lance Leipold. I think he's the man. I think we saw a lot of Kansas improvement last year, towards the end of last year. I don't think they're going to be anything great this year, but if they give Leipold time, and that's what Kansas has to do, they have to be patient with their coaches because it's such a big rebuilding job. He will get them there, and I actually do genuinely believe that, and I'm not just saying that. Let's see. Bobby M., good morning, my man. San Diego State opening the old Qualcomm Stadium. It's renovated, the Snapdragon Stadium, which we do remember that. I believe they opened the season against Arizona, and that was actually a major reason we picked San Diego State, not only because they're going to be good, great defense, and improved offense, hopefully, with Braxton Burmeister, now their new quarterback from transferring in from Virginia Tech. But obviously, we don't have much faith in Arizona. They beat the Wildcats pretty bad. But the fact they're opening a new stadium, there's a lot of excitement around that. There's a lot of hype around that. I just don't see them letting them down with the opening of a new stadium. I need to do some research on that, Bobby. I honestly don't know off the top of my head. Team record of teams opening at a new stadium. How do they typically do in that first game? I think, honestly, it would probably depend on who. I think a lot of people like to open the season against a cupcake team so they can say, hey, we're 1-0 in our new stadium. They don't want to play an elite, good team necessarily, but yeah, I would say so. I have to look into that, but I like San Diego State. So if they've struggled, San Diego State's going to add to the win total because they're going to beat Arizona this weekend. Yeah, Matthew, that's a good. I love that point too. It's like saying, going back to the motivation. It's like saying Alabama didn't have motivation in the championship because they know they're already good enough to win one, right? I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, we know we're the best. We have like 7 natties. What's one more? We don't really care, right? It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, doesn't it? Just like it sounds ridiculous when you're talking about normal bowl games too. LeBron, I appreciate that. Man, I would. What was that? Yeah, amazing head coach. I appreciate that very much. Obviously, coaching. So the ironic thing is, I have for the last 5 years. I'm a gridiron expert, and yet I've coached middle school basketball. How about that? Middle school basketball for like the last 5-6 years is really cool. It's been a kind of rewarding experience getting to work with the kids and just teach them fundamentals and things like that. Football is still number one for me. And we had the running joke here. So I coach basketball. I love it. Won the championship with those kids. Not this year, but last year. And then this year we did go undefeated up until the playoffs, which is unfortunate. But so those rewarding experiences and getting that trophy was just good, really fun for them to get that. But the running joke here on the channel is that eventually one day I'm going to become the Akron head coach. We're going to go over to Akron. I'm going to become the head coach of the Zips, and I'm going to finally revive that once proud program, make them a MAC dynasty. So we'll see if that ever happens. But that's kind of the running joke. It's like, GE for Akron. We got a good campaign going, so hopefully, and I've contacted the administration there. They haven't returned my calls, so hopefully, maybe one day we'll get our big break, and you'll see me on the sideline for some midweek action. But I appreciate that. Coaching is definitely something that I'm very passionate about and have always enjoyed doing. And wouldn't be a career that I'm opposed to pursuing. Let's see here. Hey, we've got Dat Dude. What's going on? Super pumped you're here tonight, man. Happy to good night. Good Lord. This morning. Super pumped to see you, Dat Dude. Hope you're doing well. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you yesterday. UNC is on upset alert, but we're underdogs in that game anyway. So yeah, the spread has been, I've seen it fluctuating. For a while it was, at one point it was a pick 'em. And then I saw at one point, UNC was favored by about a point and a half, which is practically still pick 'em. And then went the other way with App State. So it's just going back and forth. But yeah, UNC is, I say people on upset alert because what people don't understand is, what's up, Lakers, dude? You say good night. A lot of people are they don't do the biggest research and they go, oh, UNC is a Power 5 program, App State's in the Sun Belt, boom, UNC wins. Not necessarily, right? And then they would go, oh, App State won, that's a huge upset. Well, not necessarily. You and I were talking about that dude, obviously. We were talking about the defense. They were not very good against FAMU, weren't very good against Florida A&M. They're going to have to step it up big time against App State, considering how strong that they are in the run game. And obviously how strong App State's defense is, extremely underrated. So that's going to be, as we mentioned, one of the more underrated matchups there and could be a mini upset if App State wins that game, despite UNC being the underdog. So, hey, that dude, again, good morning, man. Thanks for popping into the stream. Glad you're able to catch it here just for a little bit, and look forward to talking more with you soon and getting this season underway. Really getting it underway. I'm really pumped. And again, thank you all for your support. All right. Dwayne, what if Texas Tech hadn't lost to OU in the last game of the season? They would be in the BCS championship as number 2. Right, another what if. And we'll keep that in mind when we do our series in the offseason. We need offseason content. But, yeah, isn't that crazy? Kansas could have been a national championship. Texas Tech with Mike Leach could have been a national championship. I mean, and that's the thing. One game, one moment can change the course of a team forever. Not just change the course of a season, but change the course of the team. I really believe if Kansas won a national championship, they would not be in the hole they're in now. You look at Texas Tech. Where would they be? Would they have kept Mike Leach? Would Mike Leach still be at Texas Tech? Would he eventually have left? And what one game could do for a program, or even if you don't want to say it's going to change the entire trajectory, just how cool it would have been. 2007, it was like LSU, Ohio State. All right, cool. What if it was West Virginia, Ohio State? What if it was Kansas, Ohio State? Just those obscure matchups. One thing can change everything. It changes the course of history, and it's really, really cool to kind of go back and think about. Decline. Hook 'em. Big time Texas fan. Super pumped for that. Obviously to see Quinn Ewers in action on Saturday, and then next week when they play Bama. That's the one I'm more excited about. Patrick C, good to see you, man. I appreciate you and all the support. Super pumped you're here today. He loves West Virginia to cover tonight. Daniels is a stud, 7-0 as a starter for the Bulldogs. He's got a lot of talent surrounding him. Very solid wide receiver core. He just needs protection up front. West Virginia does have a pretty solid offensive front, but they got to keep him healthy. Got to keep the pocket clean. The kicker though is Pittsburgh having a very strong secondary. Wasn't great last year, but returned 4 of the 5 starters in the secondary now. So will Daniels be able to exploit that, or will he struggle a little bit? So, but he is a stud. If he can stay healthy, give him the time, it's going to be a close battle. And the cover, maybe not the worst play in the world, that hook is what's getting me. West Virginia, 7.5 point underdog. So they lose by a touchdown, still cover. That hook is very, very dangerous, but beneficial if you bet West Virginia. What else we got here? Scrolling through. We're going to hit everybody's comments, I promise, as we near the end of this stream, about 20-so minutes. Unfortunately, we got to run and get prepped for this morning. Or I got to go run and get prepped this morning for tonight. Obviously, starting at 6 o'clock. Tell you where I'm going to be. Sitting on that couch. Gridiron Expert, I've got a parlay bet that West Virginia will cover and Georgia will cover against Oregon. What do you think? And what say the crowd? CCD says he's got Georgia covering over Oregon at 17. And, D-Wayne, I'll tell you what, if you want some, I'm just offering it up again. If you want good parlays, before I give you my take on yours, if you want good parlays, come over to the Expert Picks, my man. Come sign up for that. Again, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country, guys. All the money goes right back into the channel. Helps us try to grow our business and grow our channel, grow the GE Nation. We've beat out over 80% of the national analysts, guys. Over 80% of the national analysts every single year. And we can not only say, oh, we hope we're going to win, we can guarantee we're going to win. That by season's end, we will finish with a winning record, and that should mean that you're going to walk away with money in your pocket. So we've got some great plays for tonight. 3 plays, actually, that we've put out for tonight. And then obviously 7 more that we have on Saturday that we all feel really good about. So just throwing that out there. For anybody watching now or later, signing up for those Expert Picks, jump on it now. Jump on them today so you get full access. It's a year-long subscription. That one price at $60, all this price right here is a full year-long subscription. So if you buy now, you get it all the way through week 1 of next year. If you buy in week 5, you get it through week 5 of next year. It's a year-long subscription, non-stop content, non-stop analysis, non-stop picks, exclusive access to me in the Discord and the expert chat. It's great. It's been really, really great, and you're going to benefit a lot from it. So again, just want to put that out there. Go sign up today so you get the full, can take full advantage of the picks, especially before they start and kick off tonight. But if you want to wait, fine, get all season long. But we would love for you to join our team. And remember, we get to 100 sales this year. Better watch out. We got something big coming to the channel. But your picks, D-Wayne. I'm not saying what picks I put out there, and if I'm going to tell you exactly what picks to do, I know you've already placed it down. The Oregon game, both those games kind of worried me a little bit because the Oregon game is one of those things where they beat Ohio State last year, so we know they're capable of beating some of the top dogs. Georgia lost so much that it's one of those games for me. I was joking with people. I said it's one of those games where it's going to be close in the fourth quarter or Georgia's going to blow them out. I don't think it's going to be I don't know if I see Georgia winning by 10 or 13. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's a nail biter in the fourth, or Georgia just murders them like they did to everybody else last year. If I had to pick which one I really think it's going to be, I'd probably lean more towards the blowout, honestly. Despite all that Georgia lost, Dan Lanning, they say Georgia knows, he knows Georgia because he worked with them last year. Well, you don't think Kirby Smart knows Dan Lanning? Like, you don't think he knows how he operates? So you got a guy, first ever time as a head coach, new team, new quarterback, all that stuff. Georgia definitely has more consistency offensively, and despite all the losses defensively, they just reload. They don't rebuild. So definitely could see that. And then obviously the West Virginia cover. I know Patrick was saying that he was really big into that game as well. I was talking about the hook. I think that hook is very, very, very important. Very, very, very important and very beneficial for West Virginia if you bet them. So I don't think it's a bad pick either. So solid 2-team parlay there, D-Wayne. Hopefully it doesn't end for you tonight, right? That's the problem with parlays. You spread out your picks. I got a couple games on Thursday, a couple games on Saturday, and then you miss your first game on Thursday and your parlay shot. So I'll be rooting for you. Hope for the best. I really will. We just made an expert pick sale. How about that? I don't know if they were watching the stream or not, or if it's just coincidence, but we made a sale from Mr. Javion Billingsley. So Javion, if you are watching here, we appreciate you. He bought that college football package. If he's not, and you just happen to join, we appreciate it too. That gets us another step closer to our goal. So again, guys, expert picks. Let's hype up Javion. Really appreciate you and your support, my man. Again, another sale, another step closer to that goal of 100 this year, which means you guys will get something very, very special and very exciting here on the channel. So again, help us out. It goes a long ways, and we really, really appreciate it. So again, Javion, thank you very much. And anybody else that wants to join now or later, watching the stream, watching it later, take a look. Again, the link for that is down in the description below. It's there for every video. We're promoting it on our website. We promote it on Twitter pages. So make sure to take advantage of that, guys, because we promise you're going to walk away with some money. Lakers dude, boiler up? Absolutely. Lakers dude, absolutely. We are boilering up. Purdue is going to win. I am manifesting it right now. Purdue is going to beat Penn State. And I'm not a Purdue fan. I'm not getting hyped for Purdue because I like Purdue as like a diehard fan. I have nothing against Penn State. I'm just looking at this game and thinking, and I'm loving it. Talk about a hook with the spread, right? The fact that Purdue is at home with a blackout game with a better offense, and they're getting 3.5 points. God, I love that. I love that because I think Purdue wins it outright. So. Yeah, and I think most of us in the chat here have agreed that Purdue's going to win. I think we're all on the same page that Purdue's going to win, or that we think, maybe we're hoping Purdue wins. I don't know. But yes, we are going to be right in front of that TV. I guess cheering on Purdue because that's who we all in the GE Nation, that's who we pick. So 100%. Bobby M, when you plan on making an appearance for Game Day on ESPN, so when am I going to do that? Well, not quite sure. I need ESPN to give me a call. We've been working on it. We'll see when it happens. But yeah, I was on ESPN obviously a few years ago. Got to do that little NBA Finals segment with L. Duncan. So that was really, really cool. And getting to post that up here on YouTube and share that with you guys was really, really exciting because, we don't get there without you, right? You guys don't help us get to where we are, and that opportunity probably doesn't come around. So the fact that they were very gracious to let us use that clip, because you know how it can be with copyright and issues like that. So they were very gracious to let us use that and to let us film within their studios and everything like that was really, really awesome. So once in a lifetime experience for sure. Well, say once in a lifetime. Hopefully it'll be the first of many in a lifetime, but at the time it was, and was pumped. So Bobby, who knows, man? Maybe in a few years. Might be on Game Day, might be on College Football Live. You never know. Depends on who comes a knocking. If it's not ESPN, who knows? Maybe it'll be Fox, maybe CBS. Some of those guys need some help. So we wouldn't mind coming over there and helping them out. Rowan Whitfield, how many years will Josh Heupel get until Tennessee wins the SEC East? If he keeps recruiting the way he is and the offense keeps playing at the level they are, I could see Tennessee winning the East. God, I mean, they get to do they host Georgia? No, they go to Georgia this year, right? Yeah, so next year maybe you can make an argument if the offense is still as electric as they are now. You can make an argument that next time they host Georgia that maybe, because the problem is, Roman, they've got to get past Georgia. That's the issue. It's not like it's like, oh, Tennessee should win. It's Georgia. It's just like anybody in the West. When are we going to win the West? Well, when you can beat Alabama. And you thought A&M would like that, right? They beat Alabama, still couldn't win the West. Yeah, I would say you got to take down Georgia, or hope that Georgia has a down year. Let's see here. John Sarian, UNC is looking like they're going to have another season where they win by 1 or 3, scoring 50-plus points every game. Yeah. That's a bit of a problem. If you could just play a lick of defense, you would be okay, right? Yeah, don't see that happening very much for UNC. It might be a rough year defensively when it comes to that. Offense, though, looks great. Drake May actually looked pretty good. Yes, it was FAMU. Yes, it wasn't the biggest of opponents. App State would be a better test. But I'd say for a guy that was starting for the first time, he looked pretty good. Yeah, Dat dude, I appreciate you. Anytime, man. Anytime for a shout out. You've been here since like day one. So again, appreciate you and all the support. And like I said, look forward to talking more with you soon. Let's see here. Catching up on the chat. We're getting close. I love getting down there. It's like clearing out my emails. Caleb, the Oklahoma State non-conference is looking really good over the next 8 years. Home and home with Oregon, Arkansas, and Bama. Yeah, and I love that. I love it when teams take advantage of that, and schedule home and homes with quality opponents. Because here's the thing. Right now, if you look at it on paper, right now Oklahoma State's in a good spot, right? They could probably beat Arkansas at home in Stillwater. They might be able to beat Oregon at Stillwater. Bama, probably not so much. But, those would all be probably pretty competitive games, regardless of where they're played. Over the next 8 years, we don't know the trajectory of any of those programs. Others. We had a little black out there. Hope we're still on. But anyways, it's interesting, when it comes to that. That these teams are having to play these other Power 5 opponents. I think that's how it should be, because we're not going to get other home and home many with cupcake teams, guys like that. So love the Oklahoma State non-conference schedule. I love that teams are taking advantage of playing the tougher teams. Are we still on? Yeah, okay, glad. Good to know. Yeah, I saw my screen flash too. It went off, and then the timer up here. I got a running total on how long the live stream runs, and it glitched out, so that was really odd. But I'm glad nothing got too screwed up there. Thank you guys for keeping me updated. Comic Dudes, good morning. Good morning to you. It's been a while since I talked to you too, so happy to have you here, man. Even if only for a little bit. Good morning, and go Rutgers. And I hope you're doing well. It's been a hot minute, so super glad you're able to join us for a little bit this morning. Let's see what else we got. Hey, CCD, I get that, man. Because I'd sign up. I'd rather bet by myself and use my own knowledge rather than have a helping hand. And hey, I respect. A lot of people like to do that too. So I'll keep an eye on your picks, man. I hope they go well. We talked about that yesterday. Some solid picks there with Ohio State, Georgia, Louisville, Maryland. I know our good friend Dave in the live stream yesterday was really high on you with Louisville and Maryland. Especially getting Maryland at 20.5 and not the 23 or 24 that they're at now. So way to get it in early. So what was that, 5 team? Yeah, 5 teams. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll revisit on Monday. But hey, man, hope you roll it in. Hope you bring in the money, 100%. LeBron. Clemson and Ohio State moved to the SEC West and have to face Bama every year. Would Bama lose to them some years? 100%. 100% they would. Not saying every year, but they would. I mean, here's the thing. When is Alabama? We talked about that was a trivia question. How many true non-conference road games has Alabama played? Right? How many have they played under Nick Saban? And 1, right? But really played 2. Penn State and Duke. They went to Duke. So they haven't really faced elite challenges on the road, with the exception of the teams they've played in the SEC, right? So if you sent Alabama every other year to Death Valley and to the Horseshoe in Columbus, yes, they are bound to lose a handful of those games, 100%. More so to Ohio State, I'd say, than Clemson, but they would. You think about that. I think the top 2 teams in the country, imagine if they were in the same conference now. The number 1, the number 2, and the number 4 team in the country, all in the SEC West. My God. Reminds me of like 2011 when the top 3 teams in the country were LSU at 1, Alabama at 2, and Arkansas at 3. That was a wild 2011 season. That's going to be part of our What If series as well. But Alabama would lose to them some years too, simply because first of all, those teams are so good, the recruiting would be spaced out within the SEC because Alabama's not just going to dominate there, and the fact that they would have to travel on the road for those games, which is something that they're not really accustomed to doing under Nick Saban. Again, he's been there since 2007, 2008, and 2 true non-conference road games. Since the neutral site games, give him credit. They've opened up neutral site games against USC and Michigan and Wisconsin and guys like that. But true road games, they don't do it. Hey, Scott Swindle, Woo Pig, Arkansas, again, tomorrow wish it was tomorrow. Saturday afternoon, we put out our video for them yesterday. Take on Cincinnati. Going to be a big, big, big game. Super pumped for that. I think we all are. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Again, another shout out to Javion. He buying those expert picks today. We really appreciate him. Again, we've hyped that up a lot. Over on the website, thegridironexpert.com, 100 sales this year. Bring something very, very, very special and big, something we've never done before here to the Gridiron Expert. If we can get there. So if you guys can help us get to that 100 mark, we will bring something very, very big here. And I promise you, we're not just making that up. We got something that we're already working on that we hope we can get to use and do if we can get to that 100 mark, along with the 10,000 mark as well next Saturday. So again, shout out to Javion again. Appreciate you guys hyping him up down in the chat. Boom goes the dynamite, as Lakers dude said. I love that. Love that video. Let's see here. LeBron, do I cheer for every SEC West team to win, even though I'm an Arkansas fan? I do not. I really, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you this, and I'm going to get down to the rest of the comments here. I don't really believe in rooting for the entire conference. I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people, regardless of the conference, right? ACC, Big Ten, whatever. I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm a Clemson fan. So during the season, of course, I'm going to root for Clemson to beat all the ACC teams. When bowl season rolls around, all ACC, let's go ACC. I think that's stupid. I think it's stupid with the SEC. So no, I do not have some sort of loyalty to the conference. I root for the teams that I want to win, regardless of the game, especially in bowl season. So I've got if there's a Sun Belt team playing an SEC team and that Sun Belt team wins and I want them to win, I'm rooting for them. There is no SEC loyalty, bias, anything like that. I think and I'm not judging people that do that. If you are an SEC homer and you want all the SEC teams to win, I do get it. I get the pride of having your team being in the best conference. And I get that. And there is some sort of pride. Well, we do play in the best conference. At least we don't play in the Sun Belt, right? Or if you're a Power 5 team, you make the argument. We don't play in the Pac-12. At least our schedule means something. Whatever you want to say. But bottom line is, I don't see any loyalty there. I think, if the conference is, and this is not just the SEC thing, I think that if the conference is treated all of their members and respected all their members fairly, maybe you can make that argument, but they don't. So especially for some teams that are very mistreated within their own conference, why root for the conference that mistreats you and doesn't respect you? Yeah, you're part of the conference, but they could care less if you were there or not. So why support them? It's kind of my argument there. And on top of the other thing, you're gonna root for your rivals, like you're an Alabama fan, and so you're playing the playoff, and you think Alabama fans were rooting for Auburn when they played Houston last year? Do you think Ohio State fans were rooting for Michigan when they played the playoff last year? Do you think Michigan fans were rooting for Ohio State when they were in the Rose Bowl last year? No. I can't imagine they were. It's still something to be said for some rivals and just never rooting for the teams that you despise. And so, no, just long story short, I do not cheer for every SEC West team or even every SEC team to win, regardless of being an Arkansas fan. I watch the conference games. You pick your winners, whatever. Hope people win or lose if it helps out your team, sure. But especially in bowl season when it doesn't matter as much in terms of standings, I could care less. And that sounds kind of harsh, but kind of my thing. Let's see here. What else we have here? There's just a stupid stage name he made when he was 9. Not a fan, but too many people know me, so he's stuck with it. Can't have too many people knowing his real name. I like the anonymous. You gotta be anonymous. But yeah, Comic Dude has become a staple here at the Gridiron Expert, man. He's been here on live streams and commenting on videos for years and years and years. And so yeah, if he came in with his real name or a completely different username, I would be full. So honestly, with many of you, that's how it would be. To be honest with you, if CCD, you showed up with a completely different account name, and I'm like, well, who's that? Welcome to the chat. You must be new. And you're like, no, it's CCD. I'd be like, what the hell? Who are you? So even on my end, I get so used to seeing your names in the chats and then the comment sections, and you kind of, that's what you go off of. So that's actually really funny. Scotty B, what do the Pac-12 schools need to do? Considering Washington and Oregon could be in the Big Ten, I think the Pac-12 is just going to have to disperse, man. I really do. I think we are on the verge of super conferences. Very super conferences. I mean, the SEC is about to have 16. The Big Ten is about to have 16. The Big 12 is replenishing with adding, guys like Cincinnati and UCF and BYU and guys like that. They're replenishing, and the ACC and Pac-12 are not. But the ACC right now is in pretty solid shape. Still got 14 teams, and maybe could add one more. If Notre Dame ever joins the conference, they're going to join the ACC. They're geographically teams in the American that could join the ACC eventually. And then you get the Pac-12. If Oregon and Washington leave, they lose all of their money. Who's their next biggest brand in the Pac-12? The Arizona schools? Stanford? Cal? Utah? You lost your big-time schools in USC and UCLA when it came to branding and money. Then you lose your other two, in Oregon and Washington, who were second best. We were all saying the Pac-12 could stay afloat if Oregon and Washington stay. If they leave, they're done. In the Pac-12, they're going to bounce it. Because here's the thing. The Pac-12 can't make it up by adding Boise and Fresno and San Diego State. They can't make up. Those additions are not the equivalent of what the Big 12's doing. It's just not. So, what do the Pac-12 schools need to do? If Oregon and Washington really do go to the Big Ten, and I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. You're going to tell me we're going to have a conference with 18 teams in it? This is getting ridiculous. But if they do, the Pac-12's over, and those other schools need to start applying for other conferences, and we just need to get rid of it. Come over to the Big 12. Some teams could go down a conference if they need to. Don't want to, but they could. They're going to have to figure something out. It's not looking good. Let's see here. What if Clemson and Bama did a home-and-home series? Would be all for that. That'd be phenomenal. So CCD, what? He thought I was a Tennessee Titans fan and a Tennessee Vols fan. No. Now, don't have anything against those teams. Titans are close to me. Both of them are close to me. I'm in Arkansas, so I've gone to Neyland Stadium before, and I've never gotten a chance to go to a Titans game, but I've been through there before. Been in Nashville, and but not a Titans fan. I'm ironically a Patriots fan up in the Northeast and a Arkansas fan here. How weird is that? All my teams are so sporadic, man. They just bounce around. I'm an Arkansas fan, but I went to Arkansas State University, so take with that as you will. And then I am a Patriots fan up in New England. Baseball, though, I do geographic. I'm St. Louis. I like the Cardinals. So Arkansas, Patriots, St. Louis, right above Arkansas. And then, for NBA, I've got two top teams, right? Two teams. I actually support both very, very passionately. Not like this is my favorite. So I got the Grizzlies of Memphis because they're right next to me. Literally, I've gone to so many Grizzly games because they're right there, and they're really doing pretty dang good with Ja Morant. And then I'm a Miami Heat fan. So I've loved the Heat ever since I was little. And some would say, you just like the Heat because of LeBron James, right? Well, is he still there? No. I actually like the Heat for two reasons. I love Dwayne Wade when he was there, obviously, and I love Eric Spoelstra. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I love his story. I love his passion for the game. So Spoelstra is just phenomenal. So so Arkansas, Cardinals, Patriots, all the way up there. Come down the coast, we go to Miami. Come back over, we go to Memphis. So I'm literally all over the place. So yes, now you all know the truth. The undisputed, pure truth of my fandom for all these teams, right? In every sport. And if you guys like soccer, if you like Premier League soccer, I'm an Everton fan. So and when they're garbage though. So before be something if I said Liverpool or something. But God, Everton's so bad. But I've been an Everton fan for my whole life. So we don't have any good moments there if you're into that. But yes. So there you go. I'm glad you guys know that. Sarah Brown, good to see you. SEC, best conference. I can't disagree. There. They really are. So yes, I think it's really funny that So obviously, yes, you're right. This is why you attend the live streams. You get some juicy details, right? You get some personal information. If you show up, it's we'll give you some good picks and talk some football. But if you want to get to the deepest, darkest secrets, you come to the live streams. That's where the good stuff's at. But yeah, glad you guys know that now. And that's the thing, is obviously we're always going to remain unbiased whether we're predicting NFL or college. Love the Razorbacks. Been them way my whole life. But even I can sit here and tell you how bad. I can hate the Hogs from time to time too. I have a love-hate relationship with them for all of the misery they've put me through. And I've only been around for way less than some other big-time Hawks fans out there. So. But growing up, 1998, I think it was, for those of you that don't know, Arkansas was very close to going to the national championship game. They played Tennessee. I think it was like number 4, number 8. It's something like the top 10 showdown, maybe top 5 showdown. And Arkansas had the game in the bag in Knoxville. And Clint Sterner, our quarterback, stumbled. It's called the Sterner stumble. And he tripped over Brandon Burlsworth. The famous offensive lineman has the Burlsworth Award that goes on to the best walk-on in college football every single year, created right here in Little Rock. But he stumbled over his leg, and as he stumbled, he just put the ball down, just set it down. If Sterner had just tucked it and fallen down, we probably still would have won the game, but he laid it down, and Tennessee recovered it, and then won the game, and we didn't go to the national championship. So then in 2006, we had the SEC championship, and we had a guy named Reggie Fish run all the way back to the end zone for a punt, and he muffed the punt in the end zone, and Florida recovered, and we lost that game. It's rough. I know many of you have gone through some heartbreak too. Comic Dude saying the same. Everyone has a love-hate relationship with their favorite sports team, and anyone who says otherwise is lying. And that is very, very true. Very true. And yeah, CCD, I did have to go through the Chad Morris arc, and that was funny story about that. I'll leave you guys with this. I'll leave you with this story, and then we'll call it a day, so you guys can get ready. So we're less than 12 hours out. Damn it, we're 9 hours away from the start of college football. So let's get ready. But my last story I'll give you on this, it's 2017, right? Like December. So Arkansas went through this whole phase, 2017, where we fired Brett Bielema on the field after our loss to Missouri. We finished 2017 at 4-8, and fired him on the field after we'd already fired our athletic director, who at the time was Jeff Long. You might remember him. He was the playoff chair, the playoff commissioner for the first couple of years of the college football playoff. So the athletic director's gone. He wasn't very good. They just fired Brett Bielema. Didn't do it in a very, very good way. And our interim athletic director, they took it upon themselves for them to go out and find a head coach, which was stupid because we fired Bielema at the end of November. We had time to find a head coach, and it wouldn't make sense logically to find an athletic director first, get him or her established, and then go find yourself a new football coach. We didn't do that because Arkansas was so disoriented. So they went out and hired Chad Morris. The funny story is, when I started to hear that name being circulated as, hey, Arkansas is leaning Chad Morris's way, we might hire Chad Morris, I knew that was a horrible hire. We took a guy that everybody, such a great offensive mind at Clemson. Well, good for him. How did he do at SMU? Took a guy that had never had a winning season at SMU, never had a winning season. And we're going to bring him into the SEC? So what did I call the university? I'm not kidding you. First off, someone earlier, I think it was LeBron, he goes, you would make a great coach. I applied for that head coaching position. But I knew I was going to get it, obviously. I'm not sure. But I applied for it because I think a child of 2 years old or less could have coached better than Chad Morris. But I called the university, applied for the job, didn't get it. Then I called again and just told the lady on the phone, I said, listen. I said, you have to listen to me. I said, I know you, whoever was on the phone, I said, I know you don't have much pull in terms of who wins this job or whatever, but you need to understand that if you hire Chad Morris, you are making the biggest mistake of your life. You are making the biggest mistake the university could ever make by hiring Chad Morris. And she goes, well, thank you so much for your consideration. I'll keep that in mind. And within 2 hours, we had hired Chad Morris. Which again, was she having any pull? No, but I could have told you that it was gonna be horrible. So I tried, Arkansas fans. I tried so hard, but yeah, it was just never gonna pan out. And I knew as soon as Chad Morris hired, I was like, well, we are screwed. So I'll never forget when we we fired Chad Morris after the loss to Western Kentucky in 2019, I remember cheering for Western Kentucky. How bad is that? Because I knew that if Western Kentucky beat us and beat us bad, there was no way we were going to keep Chad Morris. So that day, I didn't watch much of it, but I was rooting for Western Kentucky against my team just so Chad Morris would get fired. And they did fire him, and then a couple months later, hired Sam Pittman, and now the rest is history. We're starting the season off in the top 20 and actually have something to look forward to again, and I'm not going to be turning games off at halftime anymore. So, yeah, that was story time, guys. So, yeah, now you know the teams. Now you know Arkansas, a little bit of alternate timeline. We have Alex Galvin. There's your what if, right? There's your what if series. We'll do what if I became head coach of the Razorbacks? What would I have done, and how would the Hogs have done? There you go. There's your first what if episode. We're still on the page out of Marvel's book. But yeah. And yeah, now Coach Chad Morris isn't even coaching in high school. He was so bad, if that tells you anything. So, but there you go, guys. Obviously, want to thank you all for joining us here today at the Gridiron Expert. What a great live stream it's been. I'm glad we got to get a little personal info about the team, so we can talk about that going forward. But today, it's the start of week 1. Stephen Cuffey, appreciate you and all support, man. Everyone, he said it better. He said best. I wish everyone the best weekend of college football. The best weekend of college football, right? It starts tonight, all day tonight, tomorrow night, all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 straight days. We still have a couple prediction videos left tonight. We're putting out our Ohio State Notre Dame prediction video that comes out at 1 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow morning, we are putting out the Oregon Georgia prediction video, so we will have that. And then obviously we'll be on Twitter quite a bit, tweeting about these games, discussing the games. So if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you go follow us now so you get those updates and can kind of talk with us a little bit on there. And then, we will be doing as much as we can to kind of bring you guys some analysis. But obviously, just like you, we want to be able to kick back and enjoy these games also. So stay tuned for all of it, guys, all the content we have coming your way these next few days. But all of you have a great long Labor Day weekend, one of the best times of the year because football is officially back. So enjoy a beer, have some fun, watch the games. Good luck on your bets, win some money, whether it's with our expert picks or your own. Win some money, win big. And again, guys, have a great weekend and a great night because football is finally here. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for all your support. Appreciate you, Steven, CCD, Patrick, Matthew, Scotty, Comic Dude, DM, and everybody that's been here on the chat tonight and tomorrow and supports us. We really, really appreciate you and couldn't do it without you. Enjoy all the games, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.